Coach, heading into year 2 and fall camp tomorrow, what's it been like to embrace this competition, see a lot of these guys, these freshmen especially, embrace that competition and come in here with a chip on their shoulder?
Well, it's good, it's a lot of people say they like to compete, but they only like to compete when they come out ahead. Like I tell them, do you like to compete even when you don't win the race, even when someone ends up in front of you? So they all like to compete right now, but I said there's 20 of you guys in the room right now, right? Only 5 are going to start. When you're not one of those 5, how are you going to act? How are you going to come to work the next day? How are you going to compete the next day? So to me, that's when we really truly find out how they like to compete. And I'm talking about not only freshmen, I'm talking about the entire room, So that's something that we'll wait and see. But yeah, whether you're talking about, and you asked about the freshmen, whether you're talking about Francis or Samson or Frankie or Bruno or Tripp, one of the reasons we got them was we feel that they're competitive guys that are going to want to be able to do that are going to want to be able to, you got a Samson and a Francis. Are they competitive? Yeah, they chose to come to school together, instead of, Francis is there, I'm going to go somewhere else, or Samson's there, I'm going to go somewhere else. That just right there kind of tells you what those 2 guys are about, So, but we're excited to see those guys go at it.
Yeah, with Samson and all them, Frankie as well. We've seen them on the field, perform at a high level. But what has it been in their mentality? What have you seen from them?
They've come in, they've kept their mouth shut, they've kept the main thing, which is football. I know in recruiting it's this, that, and the other. It hasn't been. It's been about football. So that's I've loved to see that. I also love to see that they've listened. They've listened to the older guys. They've listened to a Rivers. They've listened to a Lee, a Cohen, a Cooper. And because of that, you see that their growth and their betterment has gone through the roof. So every day has been their best day, and those 2 guys, and so that's what makes them special. And I know they were 5-star, whatever. They have 5-star work ethic, those two guys. That's why they've been able to transform their bodies since they've gotten here. So we're excited about all those guys, but those 2 guys, they're going to be special.
Another local guy, Lawrence Seymour. He's always played at a high level at Miami Central, and spent 2 years here now, heading into his 3rd year. How have you seen him improve, and like the mentality and the work ethic heading into year 3?
Yeah, Lawrence has got to continue to work to learn how to practice and compete at a standard and a level that Coach Cristobal, myself, and the program expects of our guys. So he's still trying to get up to that level, and so every day we're going to push him to get to that level. Once he gets to that level, then he'll be able to compete and be able to get what he says he wants and what we want for him.
You've been through a plethora of these fall camps now, heading into year 2 at Miami.
Yeah, it means I'm old. That's a nice way. Plethora means a nice way I'm old.
Yeah, what do you look for in your group? Where
guys that are gonna come to work every day, that are gonna communicate, that are gonna not get discouraged. That's what I look for on a daily basis. A lot of guys, the defense won this. It's not about that. It's about just getting better.
Are you ready for the heat tomorrow?
It's been hot every day. It was hot in Italy when I went. It's hot, so it's hot, and it's. I'm an outside guy anyways. I jog every day, so I jog in the heat. No sunscreen for me. I don't. My natural skin, so I'm good. No sunscreen. But we're ready. We're ready. We're excited. We're ready. We're excited.
Awesome.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, brother. Be good now.
Yes, sir.
Be good now. Hey, what's up, brother? You good, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be seen.
Yeah. Zion, Coach told me in Charlie that he'll probably be back middle of camp, or that's the hope.
Yeah.
When he comes back,
he's gonna have to beat somebody out.
Yeah, obviously.
We're not moving anybody because those guys are guys that coaches don't move anybody. Players do. So he's going to have to come in and do it. But those guys, Rivers is, it's funny because no one ever talks about Jalen Rivers. Mm-hmm. And I think Jalen Rivers is competitive, tough, intelligent, if I'm an NFL team, I'm drafting Jalen Rivers. You know, and no one ever talks about him. Everybody always talks about, hey, what if Anthony Munoz comes in, are you going to move Jalen Rivers? Hey, if this guy, and to me, Jalen Rivers is a great player, you know, and a great player. And if someone wants a left tackle job, they're going to have to come move him, you know. So, and then those other guys, you know, Cohen's doing great, and Matt Lee's doing great, and Cooper's doing great, and Malago's doing great, and Sampson's doing great. So now when Zion comes back and he's healthy and he can go compete, then we'll let the chips fall with it. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you see him more left or right, or
who?
Zion?
Well, he's played more on the left side, you know, so naturally that's where
he fits. Right?
That's where he fits, but he's going to have to make himself fit now, you know, because that's what it's all about. It's going to, you know, because the guys that are there right now, the guys that are able to work every day and be in the weight room every day and do all the drills every day, and those are the guys that I'm going every day of practice. To me, is the day before we play our first game. That's how I look at it. I don't have time. You know, I don't have time. Neither do they. So that's how we look at it, and that's how I kind of lose focus when Z gets the clearance to be able to come back and participate in drills against the defense and stuff like that. Then he'll be able to compete. You know, but up until that point in time, it's we got to worry about and focus on the guys that we got out there.
It feels like you're pretty locked in to the 5 as far as where they're at.
For day one, yeah. For day one. For day one.
Who would you say right behind them?
Sampson.
Sampson.
So you got Sampson. Sampson, you know, and I just told somebody else that, you know, these guys, my job as the offensive line coach is to put the next best 5 guys on the field. So everybody, I know media gets caught up in, hey, what's the depth chart? I think that's a joke because as an offensive line coach, my job is, so Rivers was a left tackle, Cohen was a left tackle, Cooper was a left tackle, Malago was a left tackle, but they're all playing different spots now, right? Because that's your job, right? And it's the same exact thing. If something happens to Matt Lee at center, you know, it's I got to move the next best guy, right? Whoever that is, right? So, you know, like if you ask me, the next guy, right? Sampson, where's he going to go, right? Where's he going to go? Well, if he goes there, where does he put him at left tackle? Do you move him somewhere else? So that's what I get caught up in. So every day at the end of practice and during fall camp, there's 19 guys in that room. I go 1 through 19. The next day, 1 through 19. So that's exactly what I do, and that's exactly what they do in the NFL.
Oh, of course.
On a daily basis, right? Yeah. So you got to be able to move. If you're not a starter, you got to provide us with that flexibility so we can move you around.
Who's 7 right now? Is there a guy who's separated himself as 7 behind Sampson? Is there anybody close to that?
Probably Sacapolo. Probably Logan on the interior. You know, so and then, you know, we got McCoy's coming on, who hasn't, you know, people don't talk about, but he's a guy he came in at 260 pounds. He's 325 pounds now, and he's a former athlete, so he'll be in the mix as well. You know, so
yeah. Just curious where where you are going. More guys are moving. But you could ultimately move them all.
No, they're going to.
Yeah.
That's our job. Yeah. Our job is to put the next best guy on the field. And I know people say I'm just giving you know, cover my butt statement, but it's not. I mean, it's truly the way it has to be, which is why from January through March we cross-train them, which is why from after spring ball through the start of camp we cross-train them.
Besides Malago and Oklahoma, if you had to play another freshman,
Bruno,
Kinsler.
You know, Kinsler is so, and you know, obviously he didn't have spring ball. Right. So is he behind him? Yeah, because he wasn't here for spring ball.
Raw goods.
So right now, I've never seen him go through a college practice. You know, but I've seen him do all the stuff that he's supposed to be doing now, and I know that, you know, I wish he would have been here in the spring. You know, because if he would have been, he'd be different in the pecking order right now. But by the end of fall camp, because he's 6'6", he's 342 pounds. He can bend his knees. He's an athlete, you know. And I know even during recruiting, I told everybody nobody's talking about him. Nobody's talking about him. But he's not. I mean, he's what you look. He's what. I want you guys, when he's out there tomorrow, check how he looks compared to, physically, how he looks next to Francis, how he looks next to Samson, and he's bigger than all of them now.
For the layman or for the person who doesn't really understand offensive line play, if you were to say, on size alone, how different this team's going to look from the one that you had last year? How different this team?
Oh, it's 180. It's a 180, and on the D line, you know, you got a Josh Horton. You know, I mean, he looks like, wow. You know, I mean, we're just bigger. You know, and it's a big people game. Big people beat up little people. I mean, that's just the way it is in football. And I don't want people to think I'm advocating bullying, but in football, big people beat up big people, move little people, and you need big people to stop big people from moving them. So, you know, our linebackers are bigger. Our tight end Cam McCormick is just a big man. You know, Elijah Arroyo is a big man. Mark Fletcher is a big man. You know, so you know, our wide receivers, Colby Young, is a big human being. You know, so and that's something, if you watch Coach Cristobal's track record, right? When he was at Alabama, you watch our track record when we were together at Oregon and stuff like that. There's a type. There's a type. Now, do you have outliers? Yeah. You know, like people tell me all the time, hey, you know, Matt Lee's not very big. I said, no, okay. He's 6'4", 305 pounds. Now, you put him in between Cohen and Cooper, and he's going to look like me. And he's going to look like me. But he's a big man. You know, and you know, and so, but we are going to look different, and we're going to look different from a leadership standpoint. You know, from a leadership standpoint, from a Matt Lee, you know, obviously Kitchens is Kitchens, and you know, you've got TBD, you've got Kiko Mauigoa, Ransom Deem, you know.
Yeah, the council went from 6 to 13.
Yeah.
Because they're the leadership council, kids are telling me.
You know, so those guys. So from a physical standpoint, from a physical how we look, but also from a leadership standpoint, completely different. All right, brother. Be good now.
Coach, we've talked about the freshman tackles a ton. I want to talk about Tommy Kinsler, specifically just what you've seen from him since.
You know, Tommy. Obviously, the question with Tommy for me is, okay, when we practice, because I haven't had him at practice yet, right? I've seen him in skill development. I've seen him in the weight room, stuff like that. But he's never been through University of Miami football practice. Now, is he in better shape? Yes, because he came in June, right? So he's in better shape. You're talking about a guy, and you know, you guys have been around him. Physically, I mean, he's bigger than those other guys. I mean, he's a big man. People never. I'm like, I could never understand when we were recruiting him why he must have had a wart on the side of his nose that people didn't like, but why he didn't get the same press as some of these guys got. Right? And I had the opportunity to watch him in spring practice live. I had the opportunity to watch him in a state finals game, semifinals, in the state finals game. So I got to see him live, and I'm like, I don't know what other people might not be seeing, but I know what I'm seeing. You know, and you're talking about, he's a big athlete now. He's 6 foot, almost 7. He's 342 pounds. He can run. Former basketball kid, can bend his knees. You know, so I'm excited. I'm really excited about him. Now, this will be his spring practice because he never had it. I firmly believe if he would have been here for spring ball, you guys would be asking me questions about, just like you asked about Francis, deservedly so, and just like you asked about Samson, deservedly so. But I think he would be in that same conversation, and I think he's going to be by the time fall camp's over. You know. So I'm really excited about him. I truly am.
It's just like the depth along like the interior. Like you see, like if he has the camp maybe they're anticipating Tim Taft, could you see him like maybe like a 2 deep type
of guy?
Like
I think he's a guy. I think he's a guy that Tommy provides you with position flexibility, where he could play tackle or guard, because he could play tackle because he's long and he's got great feet, and he could play inside because he's also got great girth. Yeah. You know, he's got thick legs, thick backside, you know, he can bend. So he's a guy that can play both. So by being able to do that, he gives himself 4 opportunities, you know. And in high school, I know he played the right side and he played the left side. You know, we cross-train our guys here, so he's done that too. So I'm I'm really excited about him because I've never had the chance to actually get on the field and work with him. So I'm curious to see how he handles practice tomorrow. I'm curious to see how he handles when we put on pads. You know, everything's going to be a new thing for him, as opposed to Francis and Samson who've already done it. You know, so yeah. Appreciate you, brother.
Is it okay if I shoot a quick video with you?
No, come on.
Kane Sport TV, we're here with an excited Alex Mirabal who's talking offensive line, a little bit different than the conversation a year ago, and you've got 19 guys.
Yeah, you know, so we've created more depth and competition in the room. We've got 8 new guys on the offensive line, you know, from last year, the signees and also the transfer portal guys, you know, a couple walk-ons. So we're excited to be able to create depth and also to be able to create competition, which is the most important thing.
It looks so different. I mean, you've got big bodies in there now. You got young kids that look like they're NFL ready from a physical standpoint. You got a shot here in training camp to build depth. This is a whole different look.
You know what? And I think, Gary, one of the things that people overlook too is the leadership. You know, the leadership of Matt Lee. You know, the experience of a Javion Cohen. The leadership of a Jalen Rivers. I think if you ask me what the biggest difference is in our room, and I can see it why you would say their size, because they are, but is the leadership. You know, and it all comes to me from number 55, from Matt Lee. You know, he's an unbelievable communicator. He's a guy who's urgent and a guy who loves football. You know, I think there's guys that are interested in football, guys that like football, and guys that love football, and he's one of those love football guys. He's the biggest difference in that room. Not the size, and the size is going to be nice, but he's the biggest difference in that room, in my opinion. He's the leader, and then you got Cohen, who's got 20 years of SEC experience, 20 games, not 20 years, 20 games of SEC experience. You know, that's invaluable. You know, but Matt Lee's a special guy.
So Matt Lee, you find him in the transfer portal out of Central Florida.
Yes.
Just kind of hanging out there, and everybody echoes what you're saying. Like, he has made an amazing impact in this program, not just with you guys, the coaches, but with the kids as well. How does that happen? Like, you're able to find the
you know what? He's a guy he started 36 games over there. You know, he really Central Florida found him, right? Because he was a tight end in high school at Haggerty, and he was a tight end his first year at Central Florida, and then they moved him to center, and so he started 36 games. You know, so when he jumped in the transfer portal, you watch his film, you're like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. You know, he'd make us better. You know, and what I didn't know, I knew what I saw in film, which was a heck of a football player. You know, all the PFF numbers and stuff like that prove that. But what you don't know is the leadership.
Get these guys out of here.
Right? But I did know when he came on his official visit, and I asked him a couple questions. We were watching film, his film and our film. Boom, jumped out of his skin. You know, jumped out of his skin, and just his urgency, his attention to detail, his level of communication, how he communicated stuff with the guards and the tackles on the film that I was showing with him. And Coach Cristobal was in the back of the room, and that story is true. Coach Cristobal was in the back of the room. He got up, walked to the front, and says, "We need you here at the University of Miami." Boom. And the rest is, thankfully, is history for us. But he's the biggest difference in that room. And because of him, that size, those young guys are going to be able to flourish because of him.
And then you get Javion Cohen from Alabama, and you know, when people up there, you know, they talk about how he probably could have benefited at Alabama from having Matt Lee next to him up there. That, you know, as somebody to just keep him focused and keep him working hard. He's got so much ability. And he just stabilizes everything for you as well.
There's no doubt, and you know, you watch. You go back and there's sometimes I'm watching cut-ups or studying people in the off season, and you watch Alabama film, you watch him, and you're like, hey, he's pretty damn good now, you know. And but Matt Lee would make anybody else better, in my opinion. But Javion's experience and having done it in such big games and environment, is also as a stabilizing force too.
Yeah.
You know, it stabilizes the young guys, and you know, a guy who's been there and done that at the highest level against the highest level of competition is definitely going to benefit us. And he's a great kid. They're all good kids too, which is what makes it awesome. And the cool thing, Gary, is to see a kid like Francis Mauinoa, Cooper, Lee, Jalen Rivers, Okunola, Cohen, to see those guys all meld and come together. I think that's really cool. That's what I love about it. They're all from different places, different upbringings, but to be able to come together and form a solid unit and a group, that's awesome.
And it changes the whole perspective of the offensive line, because now you've got guys that have played on Saturdays.
Oh yeah, yeah, they've been there and they've done that, right?
Yeah.
They've been there and they've done that, and it helps the guys who haven't.
Right.
You know, it helps the guys who haven't, and that's a huge deal. You know, because they'll tell them, hey, listen, this is how it works, this is how it goes. Don't go out pregame, because a lot of these guys who've never played before, on their first game, they'll go out there pregame and they'll get spent before the game. They'll tell them, listen, chill out, hang out here. This is how we're doing it. Boom. So it's a big deal. This is how we travel on a Friday. This is what you need to bring with you. You know, because somebody, you better bring your toothbrush. You better do this. You know, and so that's a big deal.
And then you bring in a couple elite freshmen, and having these guys that have been there and done it gives you a security blanket to put those guys on the field.
No doubt, because of the communication and there's no doubt about it. Just the communication itself, right? The communication and getting them to, they're able to play. Those freshmen are able to play faster. When I say faster, I'm talking about like on the field. Go play fast, because you got a veteran next to you, and like Inez Cooper. I know he's a young veteran, but telling Francis, hey, this is what we're doing here by making this call. And Francis, okay, got it, roll, let's roll. You know, so it's a big deal.
And you were talking earlier about Tommy Kinsler, who's another young guy. So the competition, to sum it all up in training camp, is going to be unbelievable.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. And again, I know the media a lot of times gets stuck on, hey, what's a depth chart? What's a depth chart? That doesn't matter, because every day, at the end of the day, every one of us position coaches, I've got 19 guys in the room now. I go 1 through 19 and I'll rank them from top to bottom every day. Boom, boom. Right? Why? Because our job is to, if something happens to one of the first 5 guys on that list, our job is to make sure that number 6 is the next guy in. Not, well, number 6 hasn't taken any reps at left guard.
Right.
Well, guess what? He's going to now. Right? So that's kind of that's our job. You know, put the next best player in there, not the guy who's on that depth chart that everybody wants. Hey, what's a depth chart? Who cares? It's not going. That doesn't matter. You know.
All right, Coach. Well, it's going to be an exciting training camp. We're really looking forward to watching you develop these young kids and put this line together. And we wish you the best of luck this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Thank you. Sorry.
If I could get one question.
Absolutely.
Since you had so many.
I hope I got you some.
I mean, from last year to this year, obviously you got some new guys.
Yeah.
You got some freshmen. But from the guys that were here last year to this year, who do you think has made the biggest jump, and who are you most excited about?
From last year to this year.
Yeah.
Inez Cooper.
Yeah.
Coop.
Yeah.
Coop has. Yeah. Coop has, and from everything, from a personal, standpoint in terms of just communicating and leading.
Yeah.
Those 2 real big things. He's changed his body, but from a communication standpoint and a leadership standpoint, he's made a tremendous jump. We lose him. You lose that in the fact that we signed all these guys and we got all the transfer portal guys, but he's been a rock there. He's been a rock there, and it helps because I coached them all last year, right? So he's the one who's helping them. Hey, no, this is what coach means by that. Hey, this is what this drill's about. Bam, bam, bam. So because of that, he's been a great bridge. He's been a great bridge for those new guys that have come in, whether they're transfer portal or freshmen. He's been a tremendous bridge for those guys. So I'd say it's Coop, easy, and that's Coop.
All right. Thanks.